are driving down Route 22 and they got into a fender bender. The rabbi comes out of his Cadillac, clearly shaken up, and said, "Oh, vey, what are we going to do? What a mess!" The priest comes out of his car, looks at the situation, and reaches into his pocket and takes out a bottle of Jack Daniel and gives it to the rabbi. And he says to the rabbi, "Hey, rabbi, drink this. This will make you feel better." Something that we heard when we were kids, right? The bottle the rabbi grabbed looked good to him, and down went the bottle. After the rabbi finished off the bottle of Jack Daniel, he looked at the priest and he said, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to tell the police?" To which the priest says, "Well, I don't know what you're going to tell him, Rabbi, but I'm going to tell him I wasn't the one drinking." Many of you remember the 60s. Remember? Many of you remember the 60s. Oh, many want to remember the 60s. Some of us can't remember, some of us don't. I remember about the 70s, the 60s or something that I couldn't. But one thing I do remember growing up in New York, I remember the flower power movement. Remember that? Remember the hippies? Remember them? They were banging on drums all day talking about peace, right? I remember my brother Ralph, he loved he had pictures of Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, and we were into a revolution, a revolution. I remember when I went to the seminary, New Brunswick Seminary, many, many years ago after that, I remember encountering revolution theology. I mean, you would think my brother Ralph and Eldridge Cleaver wrote this together, with a pen on one hand and a Uzi on another. I mean, they said that Jesus was a revolutionary who died on the cross. That was deep. I mean, that was in the 1960s. Jesus was and still is the greatest revolution who ever lived. And like any true revolutionary, he shed blood, but only he shed his own blood. And he brings us a message not of by any means necessary. He brings a message of hope and peace. And instead of a sword, he brings a palm branch. By the way, when we were kids, we used these as swords. It's not a weapon. It's really an object of peace. This year, I'm going to ask each one of us to hold on to our palm branches. Don't throw it away. Hold on to it until next year. Jesus does bring a revolution, but not outside in, but rather inside out. If you want a revolution, there's all kinds of bumper stickers about it. Let's start with you, and let it start with me. For those who don't think Jesus was radical enough, he was. Jesus, for instance, didn't ride on a war horse, but on a donkey. That's pretty radical. Likewise, Jesus' followers didn't wave swords. I know Peter did. They were waving palm branches. Hold on to your palm branch way after Palm Sunday. Behold, your king is coming, riding on a donkey. The message of Palm Sunday rings fresh today as it did 2,000 years ago of peace on the world. Now, it's no accident that on Palm Sunday, the Civil War ended. General Lee surrendered to General Grant on Palm Sunday, 1865. On Palm Sunday, America's bloodiest war came to an end. It was Holy Week in 1865. These 6 days changed the world. On Good Friday, President Lincoln was assassinated. What are we? 6 days that changed the world. 6 days in Holy Week. Blood was spilled. The American president was assassinated. Jesus was assassinated. Jesus was killed on Good Friday. There were 6 days that changed the world. Behold, your king is coming, humbly, lowly, riding on a colt. The Palm Sunday message of peace was what Dr. Martin Luther King talked about when he came to Newark, New Jersey. There were 6 days that changed the world. Remember that? 1960. 1968. 6 days that changed our nation. In 6 days in 1968, the streets of Newark became a war zone. This was not Vietnam. This was the United States. This was a city just 5 miles north of us. 5 miles from Lincoln. After the aftermath of the riot, Dr. King came to Newark. It was one of his last times he came to Newark. One of his last public appearances. He came to Newark with a message. He spoke to students. Some of them were involved in the riot a few days earlier. He had a message for them. While he was speaking, some in the crowd began to chant, "Burn, baby, burn." Remember that in the 60s? They kept saying it. Dr. King tried to ignore it. And then at one point, Dr. King looked to the crowd that was chanting, "Burn, baby, burn." And the famous Nobel Prize winner responded, "No, not burn, baby, burn, but learn, baby, learn, so you can earn, baby, earn." The way to victory is not through revolution, but resolutions. Education is still our greatest weapon. History is the greatest textbook because if we don't learn from history, as someone once said thousands of years ago, those who don't study history will be condemned to repeat it. Learn, baby, learn, as opposed to burn, baby, burn. If you think that revolutions is something that we heard during the 1960s, think again. When Jesus went into Jerusalem, it was a hotbed for revolution. People wanted a king. They wanted revolution. How many of you guys remember the Beatles? Remember they had the Revolution number 9, right? And Revolution number 1. I don't know what happened to the ones in between, but you know, it was a revolution. Well, those were the 60s. Those were some crazy. John Lennon, who actually wrote that in 1968, wrote it because it followed the Tet Offensive in January of 1968. January 1968, North Korea had invaded South Korea in what was called the Truce of the Tet Offensive. All of a sudden, all of South Korea was, all of South Vietnam was being invaded. It was like a Christmas tree that was lit up with fires. The American forces was overwhelmed. Instead of a peacekeeping, we're involved in a revolution. We're involved in a war. Throughout American campuses and throughout the world, when the Tet Offensive was finally crushed. There were many protests that were going on at many of our universities just a few miles from here. Americans were suddenly fighting two wars, one at home and one abroad. During the upheaval, John Lennon decided to write a song about the violence. You remember the lines, right? I'm not going to say it. But he says, you say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we could all change the world. You tell me it's evolution. Well, you know, we could all change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know you can't be out. John Lennon then adds a word. Don't you know it's going to be all right? With Jesus, it's going to be all right. Because the world has survived revolutions before. It will survive revolutions to come and war. Jesus came into Jerusalem. They were so excited because they said, surely this is the revolution. He's finally going to kick out the Romans who have been oppressing us for so many years. And I'm sure when Jesus appeared there, they probably said something along the lines of "bird, baby, bird," or whatever the equivalent was. The irony of Palm Sunday is that those who shouted Hosanna on Sunday would only 6 days later say, crucify him, give us Barabbas. Violence only goes so far. Fear not, daughters of Zion, behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt. March 19th, the day that a few days that just passed, was really significant for me, as it was for 150,000 veterans who were in Iraq. 10 years ago was when the war started in Iraq, and as someone once said, war is hell. And only those who have experienced it, only those who haven't experienced it will ever want it. Although I remember the start of the war, the thing that I really want to remember is when the Brooklyn unit that I was mobilized with decided that we were going to make a difference. We collected 100 boxes for an Iraqi orphanage. Something similar to this. And with a compass and a few Marines, we went to a remote village in Iraq. And we found an orphanage and delivered the canned goods. Although I saw war and hell there, the satisfaction of delivering these goods is something I'll never forget. Today, we live in a dangerous world. The gun debate is hotter than ever. You know, in the 1960s, we were worried that the Russians were going to attack us, right? Right? They were the enemy. Now it's ourselves. The enemy is here. You say you want a revolution. Jesus is the greatest revolutionary who conquered without the weapon of love. His message is radical. His message is relevant. It's one of peace. You know, these palm branches will all dry. Hopefully the message of peace will never dry. Will never run dry. I remember many years ago, as I'm sure you did, that these palm branches, we hold on to next year, right? Because they're the very palm branches that we hold in our hand, that we burn, and we put them on our foreheads to bring in another season of Lent. Brothers and sisters, do not throw away your palm branches. They are the symbol of peace. Bring the symbol of peace into the new year. That though the palm branches may become dry and old and withered and brittle, may this message of peace always, always remain clear. And that the 6 days that changed the world may always be with us. Hosanna. Hosanna to the King. Blessed is he. And all of God's people say. At this time, the usher will read on us for morning.